Back when Craig was about 14, he and his friends Eric and Rich decided to go up to Eric's family farm up in rural New Hampshire. And he says there's really not much up there except farmland and a lot of deep woods. Now, one night, it's about midnight, and the boys had just spent hours screwing around, smoking cigars, lighting a bonfire in one of the cow pastures, and they decide it's time to head back to the house. Now, to get back to the house from the pasture, you need to walk through about a half a mile of woods and across another field. And Eric's dad had a tradition of messing with them when they're on their way back. Usually, he'd be lying in wait on the porch and shoot Roman candles at them as they crossed the field. So all three start walking back. And as they emerge from the path, they start hearing rustling noises coming from the tree line about 70 yards away. So they all take off running to the middle of the field and hit the deck smiling, waiting for Eric's dad to start shooting fireworks at them. So after about 5 minutes of intermittent rustling and no Roman candles, their smiles are gone and they start debating on whether it's something like a bear or some other predator. The rustling is distinctly footsteps, and it picks up and suddenly stops as if something is running from tree to tree. Thoroughly freaking out, Eric pulls out his cell phone and dials the landline at his house. He stands up and he walks a little ways away in the direction of his house, while Craig and Rich stay lying down, staring in the direction of the noises. Suddenly, something runs out of the tree line, and they're only about 50 yards away from it, but there's only a crescent moon, so there isn't a whole lot of light to make out any fine detail. But what he saw, Craig says he will remember for the rest of his life. He and Rich watch as this inhumanly tall thing strides out onto a portion of the field and then back into the trees. It's skinny with disproportionately long limbs, and in the dark looks to be like a white or gray color. And as it runs, its incredibly long arms and legs move in this disturbingly unusual way. And it appears to be moving much faster than it should be. And as fast as it had appeared, it disappeared back into the woods. Craig and Rich look at each other in silent horror. And they stand up, ready to book it back to the house. And that's when Eric walks back to them, completely oblivious to what they had just seen, and says, "My dad picked up. He says he's been in bed for an hour." Without saying anything, Craig and Rich just start sprinting for their lives back to the house. And Eric has no idea what's going on, so he just follows. They all make it back into the house, lock the doors, and tell Eric and his dad what they have just seen. None of them slept that night. And when they go downstairs in the morning, Eric's dad, whose bedroom is on the ground floor of the house, tells the boys that throughout the night he was hearing banging on the side of the house and the window, and claims he went outside several times with his shotgun to see nothing. And the boys thought Eric's dad was just messing with him at the time. But to this day, Eric's dad stands by that story. Now, as someone who doesn't really believe in the paranormal, Craig really doesn't tell this story to too many people. But he and Eric and Rich talk about it all the time, and it still scares the crap out of them. But just this year, Craig shared his story with a buddy of his who loves the creepy and paranormal. And after a quick Google search, shows Craig a number of images and links to something called a wood devil. And when Craig saw those images, he nearly lost it. The description and depiction of those images was exactly what he saw. He honestly doesn't know what to believe, but he knows what he saw. And it's safe to say you will never catch him in the woods of New Hampshire after dark. And some bonus creepiness to this story, the land adjacent to Eric's family's farm has been known locally as Bones Wood or Devil's Wood for all of the several generations that his family has been there. Might have been nice to know that ahead of time. Now, if anybody out there has a story that they would like to have told, feel free to email us at inbetweentales@gmail.com. And if you need some more spooky stories, these will make sure you don't sleep tonight. We'll see you next time on the In-Between.